Last week, the UK government told its citizens to stock up on 3 days' worth of emergency supplies, and then just a couple of days later, they announced that they're bringing back mandatory military service. Apple and Microsoft are making announcements that will probably change our lives forever, all in the next few months. Mbappe has so much influence that he literally made this girl famous by accidentally getting caught looking at her for 5 seconds. And we just got our first ever Millennial Saint. That's a big deal. All of that and more, so let's get cracking. Okay, let's kick it off with this, because you know how everyone talks about how insane F1 drivers' reactions and reflexes are? Yeah, well, I heard that the average person is around 600 milliseconds, while the average F1 driver is around 200. And I get it, those numbers probably mean nothing to you, so how about you watch this? And then Alex, you play this video, and really make sure you get... There's a stupid ass spider. There's nothing more frustrating than when you get a little web in your face and you just don't know where the is. Sorry. That's my Alex voice. You shouldn't be hearing that. I speak to him with, don't submit a complaint to HR. I love you, Alex. JK, we don't even have HR, so you can't submit a... Who would be HR at the NEWSDADDY empire? It certainly wouldn't be me. And it certainly wouldn't be Alex. I don't know. We'll figure that out. So what the does I do? Oh yeah, play clip. Sorry, yes.
Very slowly there in the tunnel. So whether he's having some sort of reliability issue, and that's a scary place to be behind.
Oh my goodness, the tunnel, but how? We're on board with Isaac Hadjar. You've got the LED boards. Oh my word, that was nearly horrible. No.
Holy is all I have to say. Okay, no, it's not all I have to say. This actually happened the other day at the Monaco Grand Prix, and when I saw it, I finally understood. These people are just a different breed of human. In fact, I don't know if you've ever seen this video before, but I mean, while we're on the topic, it's of Lewis Hamilton, arguably one of the greatest F1 drivers ever, and it's him doing his first ever rodeo at a shooting range. And it's unbelievable.
Stand by.
That was crazy good. Wow. For your first day here.
Sick.
6.17.
Fucking amazing. Perfect run.
Absolute madness. Moving on. Have you ever thought about just being so rich, so famous and influential that you could just look at someone and you could make them famous to the point of changing their lives potentially forever? Ever thought about that? Well, for Mbappe, that's a reality. Now, for anyone not interested in football and you don't know who Mbappe is, he's a young French footballer, arguably one of the best in the world. Let's put it this way, he's being seen as like the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Does that work for you? Anyway, he was at the Cannes Film Festival the other day when this happened. So as you can see, he's just kind of chilling there with his teammate Dembele, chatting away, when a girl who looks like, obviously she works there, walks up to the table and starts waving a French flag. And whoever's recording catches Mbappe looking at the girl for honestly about 5 seconds, and that's all it took. The video went viral on Twitter, like 14 million views, and one of the girl's friends tagged her account and commented something like, "Yo, is this you?" And just from that one comment, people found her account, and no lie, Alex will put up the visuals here, she went from about 700 followers to over 160,000 at the time of recording. Oh, now you know how long it took me to get to 160K on Instagram? And she gets there with one look? Mad. And honestly, you might be thinking, oh, it's just a couple of followers, that's not changed her life. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, you can build a real career or good foundations after 160K on Instagram. Like, maybe you can't quit your job immediately, but if she continues posting, 160K turns into millions real quick. And then before you know it, real opportunities and real money, well, they'll come knocking. All from just being looked at. And while this is fantastic news for the girl, it's not ideal for Mbappe because he has a girlfriend. I just think about it from his perspective. He gets caught lacking for like 5 seconds, potentially in another country to where she's from right now. And not only does the whole world find out, but he's made another woman famous. I think arguments will have been had. Moving on. Okay, let's bring the mood just right down. Alex, play a really sad song, okay? Is that a good song? I don't know if he's... Sometimes his emotional choice of music is questionable. But let me know how this is feeling. Because I don't know if you guys have heard, but it's with pain in my heart that I have to tell you, the Doge Dog is dead. And no, this didn't happen before. That was a different dog. Just respect the OG. 18-year-old Kabusu, I think that's how you pronounce it, brought joy to multiple generations, going viral as early as 2010. Kabusu has been an internet meme for over a decade. You best know she's an OG. And then during the crypto bull run of 2021, she became the face of Dogecoin, which made people millionaires and also made people broke and lost all their money. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, loved Doge so much that in April, he made the Dogecoin logo, the Twitter home logo button, and the Doge meme is sold as an NFT for over $4 million. I mean, if only someone could have told Kabusu how famous and loved she was. I bet she could have easily made someone famous just by looking at them. Her owner said this morning that she went peacefully without any suffering, as if falling asleep while feeling the warmth of her owner's hands petting her. R.I.P. Kabusu. The entire internet salutes you. So with tears in our eyes, let's move on. Okay, this one is pretty wild. Bring the energy back up. What the fuck was I gonna say? A teenager referred to as God's influencer is set to become the first ever Millennial Saint. God now has influencers. Pretty sure he's always had influencers. They were just called disciples before, but boy, did they do some influencing. I mean, how much of the world is the Christian now? I mean, Alex will put the number up in there, but those were the OG influencers, eh? And they did it by traveling. Apparently. I mean, I'm not an influencer, but I can do all of this from the comfort of my own home. So, don't know where I was going with all of that. Let's move on. Carlo Acutis died of leukemia in 2006 when he was just 15. And before I continue, let me just address all the comments that I know are going to be there. Yes, I know Blessed Bro looks like he died yesterday. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how they kept him so pristine. They're just professionals, okay? Let's move on. And since his death, he's built a global following of devotees who see him as a role model for the modern youths. Now, the reason he is getting this really rare honor of becoming a saint is not just because he was like mad popular. It's actually because he is credited with performing 2 miracles, which is kind of like the criteria to becoming a saint. The first was apparently 6 years after his death, when a Brazilian boy was cured from a rare pancreatic disease after praying to Carlo to intervene with God. And then the second miracle was in 2022 after a 21-year-old Costa Rican girl recovered from a severe brain injury after a bicycle accident in Florence. Actually, as I say that, Alex has an interesting thinking about what he said, because he had to edit this whole thing for me for TikTok, but he had an interesting point about that. Back to the voice notes, I guess. I mean, now, Alex has said some controversial things in confidence to me in the past, but this might be his most controversial because he might upset a lot of people with this one. I'm not going to lie. Alex, you're not allowed to cut this out. Let's go.
I could not find a picture of the 21-year-old Costa Rican girl that had a brain injury. No name, no image, no nothing. It's like it didn't even happen. I could claim that I healed someone. The patron saint Alex. I'm sure I did. But just one image would be nice for me to put in. Anyway, there you are for checks.
I'm in disbelief right now, Alex. Did you just call yourself a patron saint? I mean, blasphemy, perhaps? Ever heard of that one? You got some explaining to do, huh? Riots in the comments now. I don't know what you're probably thinking at this point. You're like, okay, what about the doctors who helped these 2 people recover? Do they think it's a miracle? Well, it turns out for anything to be approved, certified miracle, the doctors involved need to confirm that the patient's healing is medically unexplainable. So I guess they're good with this. Carlos is also set to be named the future patron of the internet due to his love for gaming and his love for spreading the word of God online. I mean, just think about that. We now will have a saint that's played PlayStation. The world couldn't get any crazier. And I mean, too bad he wasn't around to use AI to preach the gospel, because what's about to happen on that front is both terrifying and exciting. Very good segue. Let's move on. Now, you got to understand, Apple and Microsoft, the 2 most valuable companies on the planet, could very genuinely change our lives forever in the next 2 months. You want to know how? Keep watching. Actually, saying that, can we just quickly try an experiment? For the longest time, I've been thinking that only watch time is what helps make a video perform well. But apparently on YouTube, a like and a comment actually helps it too. So if we could all just like the video, I want to see if it helps or not. This is not really a trick. Please do it. Move on. Recently, I think we can all agree that AI has evolved and grown faster than anyone could have ever anticipated. And while most of us are kind of like passively interacting with AI on a daily basis, the people who actually leverage and use AI to enhance their daily lives, their workflow, their efficiency, and just becoming a freaking cyborg, well, that amount of people remains pretty niche. But I genuinely think that the two things that are really keeping it niche and are not just making us all freaking reliant on AI are accessibility and user habits. And you can think of these two things like giant, thick, damn walls. I really remember those two things because they play a big part in what I'm about to tell you. But thanks to these announcements coming from Apple and Microsoft, we may see those two damn walls be obliterated. They just announced an entirely new line of AI computers that have the powers of ChatGPT built in. One capability, for example, which has received mixed reactions, let's say, is called recall. It works by continuously taking screenshots of what's on your screen and then stores those images to essentially create a memory of your digital life. This is not a Black Mirror episode, this is real. It then leverages the power of AI to make all of those digital memories searchable. You can just search through your memories.
Brown leather bag. It came up in visual search. There's no place on this page that it says brown leather bag. It just knows because it sees this brown leather bag.
It's not keyword search, right? It's semantic search over all your history. And it's not just about any document. We can recreate moments from the past, essentially.
And that's just one of the features that this new AI computer has. It has countless more. And then Apple's about to join the party too, because their announcement, which is even bigger than Microsoft, is about to land next month. And let me tell you, the magnitude of what they're about to announce cannot be understated. They have spent over $100 billion in just the last 5 years alone researching AI and developing, and analysts believe that they're going to announce that Siri, the assistant we all know and freaking hate, will become as intelligent as ChatGPT because it will become ChatGPT. Yes, and just think about this for a second. Apple and Microsoft alone have about 3 billion users worldwide. And remember those two damn walls that were kind of holding back AI's mass rampant adoption? Well, think about it. If the two most valuable companies on the planet both integrate cutting-edge AI into the devices that 3 billion people use, I think an AI revolution is closer than you think. And before we get a bit too dystopian, let's move on. Okay, let's jump into our last story of the day, and boy, is this one juicy. Because I really gotta ask the question, what the hell is going on with the UK lately? About 1 year ago, I was doing a bunch of research, and I was kind of stunned to see the things that I found. And I really had to ask the question, are we currently seeing the downfall of Great Britain? Alex, hit him with a snippet so they understand what I'm talking about. Britain once compared itself to giants like Germany and France. Today, many of its metrics more closely resemble Eastern Europe's weaker economies, and things only seem to be getting worse. The IMF expect the UK to be the only major economy to shrink in 2023. Yes, with even Russia to do better. The Bank of England say that this could be the longest recession and sharpest drop in living standards on record. Inflation remains at a near 40-year high. The country was recently hit with the worst month for strikes in 11 years. And just yesterday, the US said that the British Army is no longer regarded a Tier 1 fighting force like the US, Russia, China, or France, and that it is barely Tier 2. And since then, we haven't really seen a massive turnaround. I think just a couple of days ago, we officially came out of a recession, which, hurrah, I guess is good. But even if we got that little bit of good news, in the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing stuff surrounding Britain that it just doesn't make any sense, and it blows my mind. And then today, the UK government announced something that I would consider just like the straw that broke the camel's back. On Wednesday, and this is somehow not even a joke, this feels like you're in like the end times. The UK government warned the British public to stock up on emergency supplies, including 3 days worth of tinned food, bottled water, and batteries. And I'm not even mentioning like a couple of weeks ago how I almost got taken out by the freaking tap water because it had a parasite outbreak in it. Now the advice comes all the way up from the UK's Deputy Prime Minister, and they say that it's a part of a push to get the public more prepared for potential emergencies, including biosecurity crises, flooding, cyber attacks, power outages, or even another pandemic. So I guess the first question that everyone was asking is, Why now? Well, to that, they say that they do not want this advice to cause panic or fear. They're not saying anything now because they low-key know something that you don't. And most of all, they do not want it to trigger panic buying. Rather, given the current state of the world and its growing threats, they say that they're just trying to think ahead and push for a more resilient and prepared United Kingdom. To give you the full vibe, this is their full list of recommended emergency kit items. And they even launched a whole ass website called the Prepare website, where it gives you a whole bunch more information on how to deal with all of these emergencies. And I was seeing this and I was like, okay, well, yeah, even though they were talking about conscription a few months ago, remember that shit? And then now they're dropping this, it could just be, you know, a coincidence. But then just 2 days after that, they dropped this. The Conservative Party said, Rishi Sunak, that if they win the general election on the 4th of July, which is about a month away, they will be bringing back mandatory military service for all of those who are 18. And this is not a joke. This is 100% serious. So if they do win, this is what life would be like. 18-year-olds, both male and female, will have a choice of either joining the military full-time for 1 year, or they will have to volunteer 1 weekend in every month carrying out a community service. So say goodbye to your weekend. And because this is mandatory for any of those who refuse to do this, well, you could face non-criminal sanctions. Oh, and here's the kicker. This isn't some plan that will happen in like 10 years' time. They propose that the first teenagers will take part in September 2025, next year. So the question is, why? Well, good old Rishi Sunak didn't really say that, you know, we're not trying to prepare for war or anything. He says that it will bring back the national spirit that emerged during the pandemic. I mean, I wasn't here during the pandemic. I was in Australia, so I can either confirm or deny that there was the national spirit during the pandemic. But he also added that his 2 daughters will also be doing their national service too. And you're probably thinking, well, okay, that does it. No one's gonna vote for him now. But I think this could go the opposite way because, well, yeah, young people might hate this and they won't vote for him. The Conservatives aren't really looking for young people's votes. Their majority come from people who are age 40 and above. And just think about how many people in the older generation will think this is a fantastic idea because, you know, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are far too soft nowadays. They need to get off of TikTok, and 1 year of military service, well, boy, that'll be good. So honestly, I think there'll be more support for this than you think. Even my Instagram, which I'll admit is a pretty global audience, so it kind of will skew the results, but 44% of them said it was a good idea, which was kind of more than I was expecting because my audience is pretty young. So I don't know, there's just a lot of pretty alarming news coming out of the United Kingdom, and it's all centered around, you know, preparing for emergencies in war. I mean, do they genuinely see a problem with the British society and they're trying to issue these kind of initiatives to fix or help it? Or are these all just political stunts to try and scare the public and get votes? But I mean, saying that, just the mandatory national service alone would cost £2.5 billion. So that's a lot of money just to be a political stunt. Either way, I want to know what you guys think. Is this a good or a bad idea? Just let them comments rip. Woo! And with all of that being said, we have made it to the end of another video. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Damn, it feels good. It will be on when? What day are we today? Sunday. See you on Thursday. Woo!